Hello, everybody. Welcome to the sixth episode of the PBPolitical podcast. I'm Ishan Pokrell with,
I'm Cameron Cummings.
and today we have candidate for the Alabama House of Representatives, District 95, Richard Brackner here. District 95 covers Foley, Gulf Shores, and extends to the border of Florida. So good to have you on, Richard.
Thank you for having me.
And like we said, he's running District number 95 in the South Alabama, the very South actually, and he's running as a Democrat. And running as a Democrat in this state obviously is very hard. And I know Cam has some stuff to talk about in that regard, so I'll let you have it, Cam.
Okay. Now I know you're coming off an open seat election, so also with the district rezoning. So how are you?
Redistricting.
Sorry, redistricting. Sorry. So how are you basing everything off that, like your election, your campaign?
So when I first decided to run, Steve McMillan, who is the incumbent, hadn't retired yet, hadn't announced his retirement. So I was planning on trying to unseat a man who had been in office for 40 years. And thankfully, I didn't even really have to make that plan because he announced his retirement shortly after I decided to run and filed with the FCPA. So now I am running against a person called Frances Holt Jones. She is the Holt name has been in the Foley and Baldwin County area since like at least the 1920s. Very embedded in the community. Very, let's see, what's the word I'm looking for? Very charitable person. She gives United Way a lot, so I have an uphill battle being someone completely unknown because I've only been part of this community for 3 years. I have family down here who's been living here since like the 80s, but I've only recently come to call this place my home. So the strategy is just to try to get the word out. And also, and this is going to sound like a little very this politics, when they redistrict us, District 95 was going to be just Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, and Fort Morgan. It's basically a little island and goes all the way up to County Road 12. If you look on a map, you'll see it. But Frances Holt Jones lives in Foley. So they gerrymandered her in. And so now instead of having like a nice little fist, there's a little finger that shoots up. And at the top of that fingernail is Frances Holt Jones' neighborhood. So I'm going to try to use that to my advantage, saying like, Montgomery is trying to pick our representative for us and not letting us pick and decide our own voice in Montgomery. And I don't think that's right. Her business is not in our district. She's in our district, but she's not really a part of it anymore. And I'm hoping that enough people will be made aware of that fact and get angered at that fact that they think that Montgomery can just tell us who to vote for and be happy to do so. But also, I think I have good policies, and I'm hoping to win them policies as well, not just being like, don't vote for her, vote for me.
Yeah, I was looking at the race, like the election history in this District 95 when McMillan was in running for re-election. And so the first thing I saw when I looked at the old map was the population was 61,000, and with the new proposed districting, it's dropped to 49,000, with drops in the white population and the black population most notably. So I was just wondering, do you have any comments on like just the nature of the redistricting outside of the claw, as you say, that is Holt Jones's neighborhood?
Well, yeah, we lose a significant portion of the black population in Foley, but we also lose a lot of the farming communities surrounding because we lose Magnolia Springs, Alberta, and Lillian. They've all been divided up and going to districts that touch ours. As far as that goes, it's going to be great because I'll save on gas money trying to go knock on doors. So I'm excited about that. But it does make us a little bit more homogenous. There's not as much variety in the district. And I don't know if you looked up the stats, but our district does skew older than most districts in Alabama. I guess because we have a nice beach scene. It's a nice place to retire. And that's going to be hard because I'm 32. Technically I'm I guess a middle of the pack millennial now. but we've got the next generation. Gen Z is voting age now. Are y'all Gen Z or are y'all like late term millennials? What are
I'm 18,
both
so
Gen
I'm
Z.
Gen Z.
So yeah,
Gen Z.
we've got Gen Zs that can vote. One of my biggest things is, even though they are proportionally smaller, I'm going to fight to try to inspire as many young people as possible to register to vote. I don't care if they vote for me or not. I think it's just important that people in my age group and y'all's age groups have their voices heard democratically. And we really, at least in my friend group, we're really not good about it. We're really lackadaisical about voting. We think like, oh, my vote doesn't matter, my vote doesn't count. With the new redistricting, because we're so small and our population, the voting population is even smaller, because you're including children and people who can't vote, like I guess like ex-cons and felons. Although I think Alabama's working on state rep, but that's a whole other conversation, getting voting rights back. But yeah, I'm not going to get old-time Republicans. I'm not going to waste my time trying to get through to a person who, has just voted straight ticket since the 80s. What I am going to try to do is I'm going to try to find those middle-of-the-road conservatives who don't like how far right the Republican Party has become on a national level. Because even though I'm running as a Democrat, I am pro-gun. I've got a concealed carry license. I've got a rifle and a handgun. Don't have a shotgun because I don't go hunting with a shotgun, so I'm not going to waste money on that. But I've grown around guns my whole life. I'm pretty libertarian about what people do with themselves, and I'm hoping that comes off well. For example, like I don't really care if I guess the most obvious one is if you like smoke marijuana, like whatever, let's just tax it. That's what I'm not libertarian on, because I want to tax all these things and get new revenue streams into the state, because we are, I don't know if y'all know this, but we're scheduled to be in about $12 billion worth of debt by next year. Mm-hmm. Debt, like we owe, which is incredible for a state that is 70% conservative in the legislature, and they're supposed to be like, saving money, I guess. I don't really know what conservatism means anymore when they're not doing that, but they seem to harp on it at a national scale every time the national debt ticks up with Biden in office. Like, he's spending so much money. It's like, well, look at the state level. Democrats can't do anything in our state, and yet $12 billion in debt. I'm also hoping with this podcast, since y'all are in North Alabama and everything, like get out. There's still time to register to run in office wherever y'all are in the state. I think the deadline is January 28th, but you can go like AlabamaDemocrats.org and check for yourself. Y'all are a little bit too young to run. I think you got to be, is it 21? I think you got to be 21
I was
to
looking
be a
it up,
state
actually.
rep.
I can run for Public Service Commission.
Well, there you go. Like you could do it.
Watch out.
If you find a friend who wants to, or if you're just listening to this and you want to, do it. Like, bite the bullet, do it. We need to change the state from the ground up. I know I'm going for a state rep thing, and I was talked into it. I was originally planning on doing like city council or like local school board or something to get that voice heard. But they said that, like you looked up, Millen, he hasn't had competition since 2000 and was it 6?
2006,
Is that the last time?
Yes.
Yeah, 2006. I couldn't even vote then. And that was the last time someone ran against him. So, I mean, like, Democrats have to not be afraid to run against the Republican Party in Alabama. I think that's also what disheartens people, is that they just don't have anybody to vote for it. We need to give people a reason to vote.
Yeah, I actually wanted to touch on this real quick. I don't know, but I was looking at the 2018 stats for the vote in District 95. McMillan only won with 17,000 votes in a 60+ thousand population district. So your strategy, obviously, of getting young people to vote, getting them registered to vote, and honestly, that connection that you'll forge if you try to get them to vote, that's a good strategy. So just get the connection.
Thank you. I really hope it works. Yeah.
Also, that response that you gave kind of tied into one of my questions, was since it is so like heavily Republican and you are a Democrat going in, You kind of really gave a good response to it, to your target audience of trying to switch them to actually vote for a Democrat. And since they, a lot of them, like you said, have been just voting straight red since the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like you said, I'm not going to focus on those people, but moderates who are seeing the light, maybe people who voted for Walt Maddox, even though they may have voted for Tommy Tuberville, people who switched it up and voted for Trump one time and voted for Biden the second time. These are people who are at least thinking about who they're voting for. They're not just going in there and stamping an R and then being done with it. That's who I have to go for, and that's who everybody has to go for. You can't talk to a wall and make it change. People who vote straight ticket, Democrat or Republican, I don't like that. You need to be looking at the actual person and what they stand for, because it's really easy to be a corrupt politician in Montgomery when you have an R next to your name, because people just vote for it. But also in other states, it's really easy to do it with a D next to your name, because people just vote for you. So if I can inspire people to actually get out there and do homework before they vote too, that would be like, even if you don't run, like y'all are doing homework, and I love that. Like, you came in with the stats, you knew like the redistricting thing. It's brilliant. I doubt a lot of people know who their state representative is at this point, and you should, because they represent you. They should know you. You should call them. You should write them. See where they stand on things, issues that you care about. They might not voice it, but they'll tell you. I've written mine a couple of times to see where they stand on just random stuff, and they're fairly quick to reply with email. So I recommend everybody looking up their email, messaging everyone who's in your district you can vote for, seeing what they stand for, and see if voting straight R is the right answer.
How are you planning to reach these split ticket voters? Are you going to go through voting rolls, or what are you planning on? Do you have a strategy for that, or you're just going to talk to them?
Voting rolls. So I can get access once I become the official Democratic candidate for this region, which somebody could step up. I don't think they will. Somebody could step up and run against me. And if they do, I'll have to have a new strategy for that. But so far, I'm just waiting to confirm it, and then I'll have to pay for it, but I'll get access to basically the voting record for every Democrat who's voted. I'm going to focus first and foremost on people who vote in midterm elections. If you're voting midterm elections, you're probably voting every election you can. You're probably very good citizen that way. I forget the word I'm looking for. Sorry, mine went blank. But get those people first. So those people are excited to vote. Those people love the first Tuesday in November. Seal the deal with them. Know them on a personal level. Have them know me. I'm talking like going out shaking hands, making phone calls. Probably won't be kissing babies because, just the health climate we have. But I don't know, fist bumping an infant, doing just whatever I can to get my face out there. Because like I said, I am a completely political unknown in that regard. So I'm going to do it just old fashioned. I've got social media, but with Twitter, you're picking up everybody. Like if you put like #Dem, #Alabama, #political in your profile, you're gonna get some followers. People are like, what is going on here? Like Alabama Democrat. But you're gonna get people who this election really doesn't affect them at all. Like you're getting people in California, you get people in like Canada, like Pennsylvania, just all over the country, which is cool because I'm spreading my message. But social media is not the right way to reach people in town until you're doing targeted ads, which I have a bachelor's in advertising. So that will come into effect later because I am trying to run a shoestring budget to do this campaign. I just don't like asking for people for money. I know I have to do it, and I have done it before. I don't like asking people for money. It's just a terrible thing for a political candidate to say. But I want to make sure that every dollar given to me is spent as wisely as possible and used to reach as many people as possible. I'm rambling. I'm sorry if y'all want to be more specific.
I guess I this one. I guess a lot of Alabama, like a lot of a lot of taxpayer dollars, not ours, a lot of just taxpayer dollars in general goes to billions of it goes to the prison system. So, what's your opinion or like your take on either reducing that or is that money justified being spent, well spent?
So the current budget, I would actually, if you're looking down at per inmate spending, we would need to increase it because our prisons are so overcrowded, because of the violence that goes on in our prisons, both sexual and physical, because of the homicides that are occurring in our prisons, the OD deaths from drug overdoses. We need to put enough money in that system to get workers, to get correctional officers in there because the ratio is off. That's the reason we're seeing so much violence and just chaos in these systems, is because there's not enough officers there where they can actually control the prison. We also need to focus on rehabilitation things because the rate of prisoners, or the rate of arrest and the rate of recidivism in our state is astronomical. 1 in every 4 people who go behind bars wind up back behind those bars in the next like 5 years if you're in the state of Alabama, because we do not prep these people, we do not rehabilitate them. It is just locking them up and throwing away the key. So as we're spending the budget now, no, we could do away with that budget. But if we could work with other legislators, because obviously I can't do this by myself, but I want to work with other legislators to bring in projects and programs that help people stay out of jail, because first time offenders, if you're nonviolent and you've got the right history, there's programs that look at all that and can basically almost like a big brothers big sisters type thing. Person will take you under their wing and you're in trouble. It's kind of like parole because you have to report in on them, but they will put you on track to be an upright citizen and to get you out of the situation that led you to whatever charge you got. And on the opposite end, people coming out of jail, we need to be training them. We also need to increase the rate of pay for prisoners, because they need to be able to save money so that when they get out, it's not just the clothes on their back that they put in that we're giving them. We need to give them a little something like, this is what you earn. They don't necessarily need to have it to spend in the jail, in the commissary, but if they had a few $1,000s so they could go out and get a place, even with roommates or something, and be able to look for a job without worrying if they were going to be able to eat that night, it would help with the recidivism rate. Because if you're coming out broke, you have nothing, you're not getting anywhere. What's the risk in not robbing a convenience store and getting some money, or selling some drugs to get some money before you get the job? But then boom, you're caught again. And we don't need this revolving door where people are going back in jail as often as they are. And that brings up another thing with the spending. It's not just our budget now, but it's the 900 and was it 940 million, 950 million dollars that our state is pledged to spend to build three new prisons. I know 480 million of it is.
I can't remember for sure.
Yeah, well, it gets such a big number. It's but we've already taken COVID relief money, 400 and I think it's 80 million or 20 million. I don't know why, I can't remember which one. We've taken that and we've granted it to build these new prisons, saying that it will solve the problem, saying that it will get the DOJ offer back, because we're also getting sued by the Department of Justice for inhumane treatment of our inmates. It doesn't fix those problems, because later if you read the bill, we're going to end up, after we build these new prisons, we're going to close some of the old ones. So the overcrowding is still going to be the same. And it doesn't address, like I said, like getting more COs in there to act as a stopgap for the violence. And it doesn't address stricter CO screening, because not only do we need more workers, but we need them to not give these inmate drugs, because we're still seeing inmates OD in jail and prisons when they're not getting any visitors because of COVID. So what does that tell you? The visitors ain't bringing them in there. It's probably a dirty guard who wants maybe a little extra money on the side. And like I said, we need these guards, but we need to send money on screening these people. They're going to be like helping these people rehabilitate. Because if you've only been there for 5 years, you get sentenced for 5 years, and then you OD, that's not justifiable. Like, we let that person down. The state of Alabama put a death sentence on a person who was only supposed to be in there for 5, 6 years, 10 years, whatever. Even though it's not a death, deplorable. And it says a lot about our state. It also says a lot about our state that we have got let it go so bad that we're getting sued.
You touched on
Yeah,
drugs a little bit there. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because you said earlier that you're pretty libertarian on like marijuana usage or anything. Would you, if you do get elected, would you support any bills on allowing recreational marijuana to be legal in Alabama, or like what's your take on? It seems pretty popular nowadays across the aisle in Alabama.
Absolutely. No, we need that revenue stream, man. If you look at every other state around us, they all have a vice that we take our money out of the state and go and spend it on, whether it be the lotteries or riverboat gambling, Mississippi, or just, where I live, cheaper liquor that doesn't have an ABC board in Florida. We're taking money out of our state and taking it to another state. They're paying taxes on that. If we were like, by some miracle, got recreational marijuana legalized in the state of Alabama, think about how the potential for how much money, that revenue stream that would come in. I'm talking like, I want to see it taxed heavily. I want to see a minimum age of 25, just because of what I've read about cranial development and everything. I would probably ask developmental psychologist and probably some like neuroscientists about what the proper age should be. Because it should not be 21. There's stuff still going on in people's heads. But after that, yeah, just thinking about all that money, and what we could do with this, what we could do with it, like funding our schools, all the infrastructure, and like, this is taking place right after Biden actually signed into the infrastructure bill. So Alabama's about to get billions of dollars over the next 10 years. I'm super excited about that. And I would love to be in Montgomery to help push that money in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Yeah, distribute it. Thank you. But yeah, part of that, we shouldn't just be relying on federal money for that. We should be creating our new revenue streams. And since I don't want to create more taxes for people, in fact, I want to eliminate like SNAP grocery taxes, make it easier for hardworking Alabamians who are making minimum wage to survive. But, dude, we could, and the gambling bill too, we could turn the state around by just allowing just a little bit more vice, like just a little bit more.
You touched on the gambling bill. Since I know I can even say my family and I will go up to Tennessee to the lottery, the Powerball, right next to the Florida lottery. And it's been a hot topic for a while now. Would you be opposed to pushing that forward to getting, because I know you mentioned good thing, to pushing the gambling bill forward?
Yes, we need a state lotto. State lotto on average, at least in the South of the states I looked at, you get $1 billion a year extra to put into education. Mississippi also uses it for infrastructure and roads and everything, and that's great. But I think it should be just 100% purely into education.
The Tennessee lottery goes to education, right?
Yes. I think that's the reason. Now I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's why that you can get go to a free 2-year college in Tennessee. Like their community colleges cost nothing. Yeah. And that's why. And then Georgia, they put theirs in pre-K stuff, and then Florida, they spread it out amongst the whole gambit from pre-K all the way to you can get special. Pardon me. You can get special scholarships, and it's all paid for from the state through the lottery. And my girlfriend, she's a nurse, and she got her nursing degree with one of those in Florida. So she would not be where she is today if not for the Florida lottery. And
how would you? Go ahead. Sorry,
go ahead. I was just saying we need those type of success stories in Alabama. I want people to be like, I would not be where I am today without the Alabama lottery.
Yeah. How would you deal with the Porch Creek?
Porch Creek Indians, yeah.
Yeah, how would you deal with the whole system they have going? Because I know that's a big issue in the lottery fight here in the state.
Yeah, so we actually have, I'm not sure if it's in my district anymore, but there's a little place called Owa, between, well, I guess it's in Foley, between like main
Atmore,
downtown
right?
Foley and Gulf Shores. Oh, yeah, Outmore is like further
Yeah,
north.
higher
Yeah, they
up.
actually have a casino up there. But Owa is planning on building a casino, but you have to go through, I don't know all the laws, but I know you have to own and develop the land for something else for X number of years. And then if you've developed it enough or, you know, gone through A, B, and C, you can build a casino on it if you're part of the Porch Creek Indians. And so they're just now meeting this, and I think they're going to try to break ground in the next couple of years on a new casino down here, which is great. I think it's awesome. We're going to be getting a lot more money. This area is already Alabama's tourist spot, so I don't think it's going to be a burden on Alabamians losing money. We're going to see like people from out of state losing money, which is cool because they're losing it to Alabama. But yeah, no, I would love to work with the Porch Creek Indians because I think that the least we can do is make sure that Native Americans have that cornerstone they can rely on. I don't think we should water down the field and let anybody open a casino down here. Because Alabama history, but if you go in the back, we did not do the Native Americans right down here. So it's a paltry way to say sorry, but it's something. And I would love to see them, be able to expand and have new locations where people can go, turn other areas into places people want to visit from out of state instead of just like Gulf Shores or Huntsville for the Space Center for the little kids. Like, let's have a new little Southern Vegas kind of thing down here. Why not? And have it completely run by the Native Americans. Now, I think the state should be able to get its beak wet in that money. And reevaluating the tax laws, because if we let them open up more casinos, I think we need to get our beak a little bit more wet. And I think that should go to education. I would love if I could sit down with the Porch Trees and discuss this and get their side of the story too, because we can't just tell them like this is what's going to happen. It has to be a back and forth. Really, everything does. That's why I love talking to my constituents and people in my district to see what they care about, because it's not just me and my ideas going to Montgomery. I'm bringing everybody. I'm just the voice. I'm a megaphone. But yeah, no, I would love to sit down with the Porch Creek Indians and see what they would like to see out of a gambling bill. And if it benefits both parties, I'll do it in a heartbeat.
So I know a lot of the things money-wise you said with the gambling bill is with the hopeful taxation of marijuana going towards education. I know Alabama currently is ranked 46th, right? 46th in education, and then
46th or 47th.
40. I think
we hover right around there, yeah, depending on what year you look
and then
at.
we're 45th in spending per student, like how much each student is. So as well as I know money would be a big help. What else would you be doing or hopefully be doing for education?
For education, we have to do pre-K and pre-K. Not only does this give children an advantage and puts them on the right path to graduate on time and puts them on the right path to have their the 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic, and keep that where it needs to be on each grade level. But it frees up mommy and daddy to work, and because it is a state-funded pre-K, it won't come out of their pockets. Which, you make more money, you spend it on other stuff, and that helps everybody, not just in a straight education way, but just the state as a whole. Teachers need more competitive rates. If you compare the salary of a teacher here to a salary of a teacher in Florida, you would want to work in Florida. I want to keep the best educators here, and I want to draw in better educators. I want a teacher's wage to be super competitive here. Now, obviously, I would love it average $50,000 a year would be super cool. Is it going to get that way? No, but I would be willing to work out a compromise with anybody who would like to sit down at the table and talk about that. Scholarships for jobs that we need in Alabama. Now, this is going to be a weird one because we'd have to look at across the board what jobs are needed and what jobs are needed not now, but 2, 3, 4 years from now when these kids get their degrees. But have an ever-changing type of like Alabama skill scholarship where when these young adults graduate, they will be snatched up by an Alabama company because they will have the skills needed. And that would help our economy. It keeps people in state, and it just overall makes our state better and more well-rounded. And it would make our state more competitive with the likes of, say, like Texas, who just recently got a deal to build a new, I think is it Samsung? Somebody's building a new chip plant there.
Mm-hmm.
It is? Yeah.
Samsung.
Yeah. Why can't Alabama get that?
Yeah.
It's because Texans are more better educated. Alabama education talking. It's because Texans they care about their education. If you graduate, I think it's in the top 10 or 5% in each school. Those people who graduated in that each school in high school get a free ride to a public university in Texas. So you have this higher educated population staying in Texas because Texas takes care of them, and all these businesses are moving there. What do they got? Tesla, they got Texas Instruments, they're getting that new Samsung thing. I don't know, Alabama, we got Airbus and we got all these car dealerships, not dealerships, but car manufacturing. We got a couple of 3M places.
Huntsville.
Yeah, we got a new, breaking ground on that. But I want to see more varied businesses like that. Like I want to see, I don't know, man, like solar panels or like windmill farms, something. And if we have the people educated to do that, if we plan it out right, we could have this working force ready to go as soon as the building's done.
Yeah, I know. At least I'm seeing some sort of start with that, at least in like my area, which is obviously different from South Alabama. Me and Eshawn's, obviously with the Toyota Mazda, my school in particular has been pushing like automotive classes, welding, stuff like that, and offering like specific scholarships. Like, hey, if you go through this welding class, you can do a certain like I don't know welding test. We can get you a scholarship to some local, like I think it's Calhoun out in Decatur.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get to like instantly join the welding program.
And is that offered through the state, or is that offered through the companies that are coming to the state?
Offered through our schools, like going. So maybe starting to do that.
So your school district is offering it. That's pretty cool.
So just to implement that on a wider scale, because I've seen it done, so I know exactly what you're talking about. So implementing on a wider scale, because I did a VR program. And one of the companies I talked to was the Toyota Mazda plant, as well as a place out in Florida called Transfer VR. So I've done a lot of the work for not really the hands-on work like the automotive, but the more computer-focused of it. So I know it can be done, and I've seen it in action and like the principle of it. So
that's what I want to hear.
Yeah,
because everything I'm suggesting is not a new idea. Like I don't think I want to do one thing that is truly unique. I just want to see, like, look at the world around me, see what other people are doing, see what works, see what other countries, other states, and we can just apply it here. Of course, we'll have to tweak it because, every situation is different. But like you said, like, we're doing it on a local level. Let's just apply it to the whole state. We can totally do it.
One thing we need to apply here is, like, good infrastructure. And infrastructure, obviously, Biden signed that, what was it, $1.7 trillion bill?
Yeah.
Which, obviously, there's been a lot of things over, but more on a individual scale, because we'll get that money, and obviously, I already know the power struggle that's going to happen in Montgomery over who gets it, Birmingham.
So we need to vote more Democrats in there.
But
Democrats need a voice at that table.
We're very car heavy here in Alabama, obviously, because we're a pretty widespread state. And, in the Northeast, they have Amtrak, they have speed rails building out in California. Well, they had them. I think they're suspending them. But would you, in addition to like funding roads, bridges, and things like that, how would you feel about like a high-speed railway throughout the state? Like, what are your thoughts on that? I don't know if that's something you considered, but
I would like to. I am a big fan of public transportation. I did a lot of traveling in my mid-20s and got to see cities and whole countries where I could get around without having a car because of public transportation, like whether it be by rail or by bus and everything. I would love to see Alabama expand on that. Now, as far as a high-speed rail, because of all that entails, we would have to build it basically from the ground up, right? Like probably have to have like new rails going through, because I think most of the rails through Alabama are commercial, like hauling.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So we could put a high-speed rail on those lines, because it'd be a nightmare to figure out, make sure the trains don't hit when one's going like 300 miles an hour and the other's lugging by at like 75. But I would love to see us expand on bus routes. So I live in the most visited part of the state, right? Like my district gets all the visitors, like millions of people a year, right? Traffic sucks down here, hard, like hard. I would love to see just down here maybe 3 or 4 bus lines with 3 or 4 buses in them, taking people to the popular spots where you need to go, coming around every like 30 minutes. The amount of traffic that would cut down on, the amount of, it's sound like a little green, little new dealy, but the amount of carbon that would cut down on, like from less gas being burned, from less cars on the road, would just be a dream. And if I could take a bus to work, oh dude, I would totally take a bus to work. Like offering like a special, locals pass and then a special visitors pass. And I would love to see that in Birmingham too. Does Birmingham have I don't travel enough to Birmingham to know the public transportation.
I think they have buses.
I know they don't have like they have buses. So they don't have like a subway or anything.
I know I don't know. I don't.
Because like Atlanta's got the MARTA.
They have an
which is
Amtrak
pretty
station.
awesome.
They have an Amtrak station. I know that.
Yeah, you can get from like Birmingham to I think New Orleans.
Yeah, Atlanta.
It's like a nice little thing. Yeah.
But yeah, I was just wondering because there's a lot of people that, not that I know, but I know there's people that travel from like Birmingham to Huntsville or Huntsville to Birmingham for work, and making that high speed
commute.
It's an hour 30 every day, and like with a train or a bus, I would do that. Probably a train. That commute would be shorter, and also it can also connect places like, I don't know, what's a place down south, like Demopolis with Montgomery or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
People that live
or
there
just
that need
connect it to the greater country at large, because like I think the New England area has more rail lines than any other section of the country. Like just being able to connect with that, and like if Amtrak, I think Amtrak's actually trying to lower ticket prices. I know this is getting way off topic because we're talking about like a national thing, but I heard a cool thing about Amtrak. They're trying to make it more affordable. So yeah, if we get on that and like make it cheaper for Alabamians to take a vacation like Boston or Washington D.C. or something for a few days, that would be awesome. I just think the only problem here with a high-speed rail system is because we have so few rails in Alabama to begin with. It would be such a arduous task to set up the infrastructure for that, and it would take a lot of money before we would see a return on investment, like seeing the rails being put to use. When we could invest that money in just buses and basic stuff you see in other cities everywhere else to help people get around.
We do have a lot of, I mean, maybe over time we'll see a gradual allocation. I see your point for sure.
But knowing how a lot of my family's in Birmingham, so knowing that every pretty often me and my family go down to Birmingham to see relatives. Seeing, I don't know, Alabama is a very car heavy state just in general. The U.S. is very car heavy, but Alabama.
We have to be pretty car heavy here, to be fair. Which is it's a little different.
Well, because
where it's like
when we had when we had the chance to develop public transport, Detroit lobbied to shut it all down. Like they lobbied hard in areas all over the country, like in the 1930s and 20s and 40s, to make sure that we were getting everybody gets their own car and everybody goes their own way. And so
look at them now. Look at them now.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So it's messed up because now we already developed to be car heavy. So to try to work back from that it would be an uphill challenge. But starting in heavily populated areas, like Birmingham would be great, and especially like that whole Birmingham metro area. Getting it connected with something would be awesome. Or even like as I mentioned about Atlanta, the MARTA system. Have you ever ridden that? You ever been in Atlanta and like you park in a parking lot and you can get all around Atlanta? on like a rail, like I forget the proper term for it. It's like is it a monorail?
I think they're
It's
just
a-
buses. They're just
Kind of like the
buses.
ones at
Oh,
Huntsville.
they got buses, yeah. But there's also one that like it's like a tramway that goes
Oh yeah.
Okay.
part way through it, and then like every stop off you can get like there's a bus stop below it. But yeah, man, I have like tramways in Birmingham, like, and that would be a big project, but it's a heavily populated enough area where we would see immediate benefits.
Do you have anything else statewide you want to talk about, Cam? Because I kind of want to shift this a little national because that's what everything's about these days.
I guess I don't know how to word it right now. Ishan, if you have any more questions, I'm trying to think of. I have a question in mind. It's pretty much like, I guess it'll be pretty more open ended. The development of areas, because I know a lot of areas around South Alabama, kind of like underdeveloped. So
Oh
developing
yeah,
areas to
oh
create,
yeah, dude.
because I know the gap between like central and the area between not central, but before you get down to Gulf Shores is like
Like Montgomery to Gulf Shores.
yes, it's just nothing. Just
Yeah,
hard.
no, you're passing through the Black Belt.
Yes.
Yeah, the Black Belt is severely underdeveloped. One of the first things that I hope to see the infrastructure money coming into this state is, well, as much as I would love to see it applied to my area because, I'll see the benefits immediately. We have to take care of people in Alabama who, when they flush the toilet, sometimes raw sewage comes out because their septic tanks are breaking down and they can't afford them. And the water infrastructure where they live, specifically in the Black Belt, is so poor. We have third world conditions in a first world country, basically in our backyard. And yeah, you can't like call yourselves great, in my book, if there's people who aren't having a great time, so to speak. And like gray water and like just sewage and everything. Like that's just oh man. People in America don't have drinking water. And we all talk about Flint, Michigan because that was a real but these people have just never had proper water infrastructure. Like they got well water and everything, but like sometimes with that gray water and everything backing up, like soil get contaminated, water get contaminated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've had a lot of issues with that actually in North Alabama recently. Oh, not like the last couple of years, but I know a couple of counties around us, around Madison County, which is where we both are at. Sorry if I doxed
Oh
you,
yeah, there was a
there's been issues.
I think it was in Decatur. There was a 3M case with Forever Chemicals getting into the ground.
I think
That was a few years ago, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
they
a while
just
ago.
settled it. They just settled it with it was $98 million settlement for the city, but none of it addressed making sure the water gets properly tested every so often and making sure the contaminated soil isn't leaking into our potable water and making it impotable. Unpotable? I don't know. Undrinkable. And yet you see, and this is just a great way to show how Alabama truly cares. There is a similar case in, I want to say Ohio, maybe it was Michigan. I don't have my notes in front of me, but feel free to look it up, people who are listening. 3M lawsuit, and just there's been a few, so you'll do some good reading. But Alabama, 98 million for their little incident. Same incident, another state, because the AG got in on it. And Alabama's AG had other stuff to do. We won't talk about him because but they got like nearly $300 million, and a lot of it went to testing that water, and if it got contaminated, cleaning it out, systems that would protect people and making sure that they can turn on their sink and bathe safely and drink safely. And we didn't do that here, man. Like 98 million sounds like a lot until you hear about the 300 million the dudes up north got for the same exact thing. So yeah, man, we gotta take care of ourselves like a lot better. And Montgomery doesn't do that. I know it's like we don't want a nanny state, blah blah blah, but we also want drinkable water. We also don't want like our kids' playgrounds getting polluted and like their chance of cancer going up because company down the road, which gave us all these great jobs, is slowly killing us because they're not taking the proper time to dispose of the crazy stuff they make. I'm getting my high horse in that, but that's just a lot of things in the state make my blood boil. And since I've gotten into politics, like researching it and getting the minutia of it, it's like, oh my God, Montgomery, stop.
I have one more question
Go
that I
ahead.
had that I thought was pretty much adding more things such as solar panels, windmill farms, trying to cut back on more like fossil fuels. What are your opinions on it, as well as in shifting us into more green energy? What is your ideas for that?
Well, as you know, coal, natural gas, oil, all that stuff is finite. There's only so much of it left, right? And even if we have years of it left, eventually we're going to see the bottom of the barrel. So why not go ahead and have in place and be funding a infinite barrel to drink out of? And it's like a weird metaphor, but I would love to work hand in hand with Alabama Power to give them money or tax cuts or whatever to start building wind farms, especially down here. Because, dude, we have like constant wind. Like if you go up, I think it's 5 yards, just straight up, almost constant wind down here because we're so flat and the ocean's right there. And there's nothing blocking it. We need to capitalize on that hard. We're not, and we're not incentivizing Alabama Power to do anything about it. So we're giving them tax breaks to, like, I don't know, make another natural gas well out there. Actually, I don't know who owns the natural gas well. It's probably not Alabama Power, probably like Exxon or BP or something. But no, we need to encourage people who have the money to build these things to build them now instead of later. The sooner we get the ball rolling on that, the sooner we can innovate and make them more and more efficient to where at a certain point we wouldn't need to burn. It's not that we like want to get rid of coal or anything like that, because I know it still supplies, I think, like over 4,000 jobs. We still have that coal miner strike and everything going on, and I wouldn't want to belittle what they're trying to do because I fully support their cause because it's a dangerous job and they deserve to be well paid for it. But we have to have our backup plan because that coal mine, it's only got so much. There's not a little kilo of like throwing in more coal into it after they go home from work every day. We're going to run out. It's not like if it is a win. We don't know the win, but it's there. There's a date where it's gonna be like, oh, it's all gone. What do we do now? We haven't done anything to have any other type of infrastructure for power. So yeah, no, we need solar where it's sunny. We need wind where it's windy. I know we're doing pretty good on hydroelectric, but that comes into another thing. Generally, like 2% of Alabama's dams get checked to be up to code, like infrastructure wise, because we don't have the money to like check it. Yeah, it's terrible. So we need to also be just funding to save the stuff we already have that is clean energy.
I know.
And that includes like a lot of the dam, even though they do kind of mess up with certain species of fish and everything. But that's neither here nor there, because you can't save them all. But we have to start getting greener forms of energy just because it's renewable. And the sun's gonna outshine us all, man. Like it's gonna keep shining for billions of years. Wind's gonna keep blowing. Even if it's not windy one day, you can bet your bottom dollar it's gonna be windy the next. Now down here, like we would obviously have to build more expensive wind farms because they would need to have the capabilities and the materials to be able to withstand hurricane force winds. Because it would suck if we just build it up and then like big bad wolf knocks it down. But it's a worthy investment because it's so windy down here. Like who cares if it takes 20 years to pay off? That's 20 years where we will be getting that return, and then every year after that, as long as we maintain it, it's just almost free money at that point, free power that the state can sell back to Alabama Power, or if Alabama Power buys them outright, like no state money into it, they just get to have and charge us for. Like, I don't know why we haven't done it already and pulled the trigger for it, because in my mind, it seems like a win-win. We get our backup plan and they get more money. They obviously love money.
Starting off, Alabama Senate race 2022. What are your thoughts?
Oh man, so I'm actually already seeing signs for Katie Britt. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with her. I had to look her up because it's just like vote for Katie Britt, vote for Katie, vote for Katie. I was seeing these back in like October. She was Richard Shelby's underling, for lack of a better word, and he's kind of
Former
guided her
chief of staff.
career. And Richard Shelby, I don't mind the guy. Like, he hadn't done all the best decisions, and like, he's certainly not the worst. He's no Mo Brooks. Mo Brooks is. Let's not say he's seditious, but he's certainly, that word does pop into my head when I think about Mo Brooks.
That's a representative.
Yeah, as a representative, and he's running for. He wants to be more powerful. He wants that Senate seat. It would be an embarrassment to send him up there. I would love to see Doug Jones run again. I'm not sure if he would. I don't know what his plans are. I would love to see him back up there. He was great at reaching across the aisle. Sometimes he was even a little bit too moderate for my taste, but he was a shining beacon for Alabama. Like, I could proudly say he was my state senator. His past is glowing. He's just a really stand-up guy. And, he didn't encourage people to storm the Capitol at all, which is really cool. Same with Katie Britt. She's never done that as far as I know, but there's a certain dude that's running who totally has, and we want him. Do we? Like, come on. Same with Tommy Tuberville, man. We gotta get him. Out. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an Alabama fan and he used to be an Auburn coach. I'm not. Like,
yesterday was a good day for
because yeah.
It was a good day for me. I don't know about you.
I didn't know y'all are next podcast thing. So you're an Auburn fan, you Sean?
I am an Auburn fan. Yeah, I've been an Auburn fan for a long time. And
y'all had me worried, like, hard.
Time hit. I don't know. I wasn't feeling too good then.
Yeah, all the abuse, I guess, for lack of word, just being an Auburn fan. I'm waiting for the I'm waiting for the payoff, because I know when it pays off, it's either gonna be like a national championship in basketball or something ridiculous, or an Iron Bowl win next year. So I'm just waiting for the payoff now. I'm waiting for the payoff.
I was there for the kick. I was in the stands. That was embarrassing for us a whole lot. And y'all got that moment. Y'all are gonna get another one, and it's gonna be really embarrassing for Alabama because we always get embarrassed. Because y'all never just like beat us outright with foot. Y'all will do some kind of crazy trick play, and it'll be amazing. And we're like, how did they pull that rabbit out of that?
We outright beat you guys in 2017. But outside of that, it's been kind of.
I was out of the country for that. I was not present for that loss. I was like, doing my own thing. But yeah, no, y'all get it. But anyway, back to the national thing. I'm trying to think. I just want to name drop Terry Sewell. She is, I think she's Alabama's only Democratic representative in the House of Representatives.
Yeah, District 7.
She's cool. She fights for us. She's awesome. If she wanted to make the jump and go for senator, I would vote for her all day, every day.
I think she's already announced she's running for re-election, unfortunately.
She's running for re-election. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good, because we also don't need that spot taken by someone. It's just, a balancing act with that. Man, we need more upstanding individuals on either side of the aisle in national politics, man. We need people who we can say, I'm proud they're representing me. Like, do you think there's a lot of people where Marjorie Taylor Greene's from that's going, oh, yeah, man, Marjorie Taylor Greene, woohoo. Like, after all the ridiculous shifts he's done, like.
Yeah, it looks like, personally, there's Mo Brooks, who's in our district, District 5, and that's happening. And there's also Mike DuRant now from Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
He's also based in Huntsville. So, and it seems like it's like a carbon copy of just two guys, the same.
He threw his hat in the ring, because I was watching Wheel of Fortune with my parents and got absolutely bombarded with like 50 ads back to back of
Yeah,
him.
it was random. It was like out of nowhere.
It was out of like
It really came out of
normally
nowhere.
like I stay pretty like decently up to date on like people joining in. I had no idea up until I
No
saw
idea.
10 ads back to back to back of him.
So I actually heard about him a few weeks ago because I work at a club that has people who come all over the country to come visit us, and one of the members is from y'all's area. She's from Huntsville, and she was talking about him, and she painted him in a glowing light. I mean, that being said, she is her husband and her family are all very military oriented. So to be a vet and willing to stand up for Alabama, and of course she's going to give him a glowing review. What were his ads like? What are his policies? Or are you just saying I'm here kind of right now?
There was an ad yesterday in the Iron Bowl, actually. I don't know if you saw it too, Cam, but there was one in the Iron Bowl, and he was obviously he was in a helicopter because
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah, he went out of the gate very tough on China. I don't remember if he said anything about Trump. I don't know if he ignored that. I don't
No,
remember.
he definitely said pro-Trump.
He said pro-Trump.
That was like
I don't
that
want to get it wrong.
Why would you do that when you've got Mo Brooks? Like what?
That's what I'm saying. It's like
Whose
a carbon
audience are
copy.
you going for? Are you just trying to take his votes by being like, I'm pro-Trump and I'm a vet?
It's an interesting because him and Brooks are both like Brooks. I think he lives in Scottsboro, which is like a 45-minute drive from Huntsville. It's in the same district, and I mean, they're like the same candidate. It feels like right now. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be any. I don't know if DuRant's campaigning or if he just kind of. Maybe he's in it for like maybe Shelby wanted me to support Britt. I don't know what's going on because it seems like Britt and Brooks are the favorites right now.
I wouldn't mind a vet just because one of my big things is I know we hadn't touched on this for a state issue, but 10% of Alabama's homeless population are vets. And then if you look up making it national again, the amount of military suicides that happen is appalling. Like there's more people who've taken their own life in the U.S. military between 2002 and now than were ever killed in like Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan combined. Like the war in the Middle East has nothing on suicide, and that's ridiculous. So if we get a vet in there who understands that problem, who has seen friends suffer from that, mental health issues that lead to suicide attempts or that lead to them just living on the street because as much as we love our troops, we don't take care of them, and he gets something started, I will back that man up. Now, of course, he's all empty promises, like obviously, but like I would be willing to give him a shot if he says that helping vets is a priority, getting them off the street, getting them mental health, getting them the actual help they deserve for putting their lives on the line.
And any Senate candidate that hears this, by any chance, shoot us an email and you're welcome to come on the show. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah.
Just real quick, just so you guys, if you guys are wondering, if you guys are interested, come on the show. You know, it'll be fun. But yeah, military homelessness is a huge issue, and this is obviously like a national issue with homelessness in general in California and Texas, Florida, wherever really, New York for sure. How would you? I don't know how I mean, I don't think homelessness is as big of a problem in Huntsville or not in Huntsville, in Alabama right now. Like just because of the nature of the state, you know, there's 5 million people, and it's a pretty spread out state. I'm sure in Birmingham and Montgomery there's issues, but
we only have about, I think it's 3,500 homeless people that are like reported for our state. That's still 3,500 homeless people.
Yeah, that's low, but obviously it's gonna grow as our state grows. As our state grows,
3,000 people don't have a place to sleep at night.
Yeah, it's low, but obviously, I mean, our state's growing. Like we have, we've. So how do you like? I'm assuming you'd want to jump out and get that early. So how would you plan on combating that issue? Just trying to stem it early.
Straight up, affordable housing. Getting a roof over someone's head is a huge step in recovery, and that'd be for just recovery from homelessness. Giving them a safe place to be at night where they don't have to worry about that lets them worry about other stuff. It's kind of like, are y'all familiar? I know you're young, but Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You got to have that base level. And that base level is like food and shelter. You
Yeah.
need both those things. Like before you can go up any higher, you need both those things. And you can get food. You can go to food bank. You can go to places, but homeless shelters, like they're great options if they're all out of other options, but there's not a lot of them around here because, like y'all said, there's not a lot of homeless people here. The better option would be getting these people affordable housing, giving it to them for free until they get off their feet. I know that's like, oh, socialist, getting them free housing, but like, if you can make this person a productive member of society by getting them off the street, making sure they're fed, getting them a job, then it's an investment that will pay off. You're not giving them something for free. You're investing in a person. You're investing in a human being, and you will see dividends from that. That's the same with education, man. We're just investing in human beings. We're like little human beings, but I just want to invest in Alabama, not as a concept, because Alabama, like our whole country, like America, if the land went away, America would still exist because the people exist. If all the people went away, America wouldn't exist. It's become something else entirely. It's the same with Alabama, same with every state. Like, I want to invest in Alabama as in I want to invest in the people. Everybody. And everybody needs different investments. The way you invest in the homeless population, you get them housing. You get them shelter, you get them food. I don't care how you get it. I know there's experts in the field that would know better. And that's another thing. I want to bring this is gonna sound weird or roundabout, but y'all remember like beginning of the pandemic, Kay Abby was like, we're gonna rely on the scientists, we're gonna trust them. And now she's just like, I want to bring that attitude back. I want that section of KIV to be applied to the whole of Alabama. It's like, where we see problems, we can be like, that's a problem. And a politician should have enough honesty to be like, I would like to see it fixed this way, but let's ask an expert. Let's get a team together, see all the angles that this problem has, because nothing's black and white. It's all just blobby shades of gray. Get everybody coming at it from everything, see the whole picture, and decide the very best solution that not only benefits the state, but benefits the people and allows us to continue investing in them.
I think it was Austin, Texas. I read their mayor, what's his name? Whatever, I forget his name, but whatever the mayor's name is, they started buying out used hotels, like or empty hotels and like old hotels. I think it started putting homeless people in those hotels. I think that
Did
was
they like actually make the
done.
hotel like a little micro apartment kind of thing? Like each room has like
I think
a
so.
communal
Yeah.
kitchen?
I'm not sure
That's
about all that. I know. I
quite some
think it's just
that's
like
a
once you give them
fascinating
a
thing he's
room.
doing.
Yeah, it's just I think it's Adler. That's what it is, Mayor Adler. So he's just like I think they started like renting hotels and just putting homeless people in there because remember they had like the huge freeze in Texas
Mm-hmm.
in like the winter or in the spring or whatever. Yeah, I think so. Like, would you see that? Could you see that being done on like a statewide? Like, could you think Governor Ivy, if she was forced to in like a situation or whoever the governor will be in how 2 years,
Hopefully
do
not
you think
Ivy.
they would? Do you think that they would? Do you think they could take a step like that in like a state that's spread out and where it's kind of hard to get data, accurate data on homeless people and
Definitely in the bigger metropolitan areas. I know, like even where I'm from, Oxford, Alabama, there were some abandoned buildings and everything. And I think renovating a building is probably a lot cheaper than building something outright and brand new. Once again, you'd have to ask experts because I'm not a developer, so I don't know. But it would seem like it would be. But yeah, totally do that. Obviously, you couldn't do it down here because every condo fills up, every hotel fills up, every motel fills up in the summertime. There's no like abandoned uh, hotels. So here you would have to, if we have a homeless population down here, build something new. Or hell, if we get enough money in education, build a new school, turn the old school. Each classroom could be like a little. I should say, but oh, dude, I would love to force her hand and make her address this problem, even as small as it is. But it's I don't like a government that abandons people when they need us most.
Mm-hmm.
If you're without a house, like I say, you're not meeting that base need. That's when somebody needs a hand. That's when they are trapped between that rock and that hard place. That's hitting rock bottom. And we're America. We're supposed to be the greatest country in the world. Our rock bottom shouldn't be that hard. If you hit a rock bottom, you should be able to bounce back up, and we should be able to get you what you need. Yeah, it's totally feasible. Totally feasible idea to be a statewide thing, to have abandoned buildings repurposed into cheap, affordable housing for people in need. Or even like, shelters for, and this gets in a whole other, but like shelters for domestic abuse victims, either male or female. Like I know they have women's abuses, like women's homes. There's one like not too far from here. I just don't know where it is because they don't tell you, which is good. But you can donate to it. But do y'all know of any domestic abuse outreach thing for a dude? Like
I
beating up on
don't
her
know.
man, or if a gay couple enter an abusive relationship? Is there a place where that guy can go?
I'm sure there are. I personally don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know any either off the top of my head.
But do y'all know of like a woman, like a local women's shelter around y'all?
I do
I
not.
think there's a couple. I think I've heard of a couple, but I wouldn't know
You've
where
heard
they
of a
are or
couple.
anything.
You've at least heard of them. It's weird that we don't focus on that part. We don't focus on the not so fair sex when it comes to that, even though it can be just as bad depending on the situation. So that's something else we could like do. And I know now I'm just like going like, because you see one problem, you see a lot of problems, and you focus on one, you see another, and just a lot of problems. I'm not saying I have answers for them all, but I'm saying like if I see a problem rise up, if somebody talks to me about a problem, I'll research it. I'll look for an answer. I'll look for somebody who knows how to answer that question. And I wish more I hope we get a Montgomery that does that, like all of it. I hope we get a Washington that does that. They can like move us forward as a country.
How do you see what is it, 2023, the governor's election here going? I think Kay Ivey just announced she's running for re-election.
She is running for re-election. I think she's
How do
already
you-
gearing up. You see all that CRT stuff that she's been doing, saying I'm protecting kids and blah blah blah. That's political theater to get votes. I see it going well for her, man. She's Republican in Alabama, and she's an incumbent Republican in Alabama, and it is hard to unseat a incumbent Republican in Alabama. I would love to see who her competition is, but I haven't heard anybody about it. Like, I don't think Mayor Maddox is going to track in, is he?
I doubt a Republican will run, so I have no clue on the other side though.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to like beat her in the primary because she's our Meemaw.
Tommy
DuRant gets
Battle
me.
almost did. Tommy
Who?
Battle was pretty close. Tommy Battle.
Battle.
Yes.
Yeah, Mayor Battle was pretty close.
Who?
Whatever the last one. He's the mayor
Who
of
is he? The
Huntsville.
mayor? Huntsville. Okay.
Yeah, he was pretty close, but I don't know. But yeah, I don't think anyone's announced. I know he's not going to run this time. I know he's retiring after his term here.
Mm-hmm.
Good for
I
him.
don't
I wish I could hear that sentence more often. They're retiring after their term. Hey, we don't hear it enough here. We do not. The dude, this Steve McMillan. Did you look up how old he is?
Yeah, no, I think he's in the 80s, right? But I know he
Yeah.
ran. Yeah, his first election. Well, he assumed office in 1980, so
Right. Yeah.
42 years.
42 years in office, and he is retiring at the grand old age of like 81 or 82, something like that. Why not retire earlier, man? Free up the spot for someone younger, and also just enjoy your golden years. Like, why do you want to waste it in Montgomery? Like, dude, so I'm running for politics. I don't plan on being a politician that long. I don't plan on being. I plan on getting my stuff done, putting my state on a track that will lead it to greatness, and I'm gonna step back. Like, I don't want to be in Montgomery. Like the chance of getting corrupted, the chance of being like, well, I'll just take this bribe this one time, or I'll just do this thing this one time. The chance of that happening gets greater and greater every year you're in, right? Absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? That's the saying. I don't want to get corrupted. I like my moral standing right now. I think I got like a pretty good, like I know they all know me from Adam, but I think I'm a pretty upstanding guy, like morally speaking. I try not to do no wrong. But will I be able to say that to myself? Like, say I win this election, and say I win the next election, and say I win the next election. If I'm there for like 10 years, will I be able to say the same thing, honestly, to myself at the end of that? I don't know. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, so are you in favor for term limits for state and even national house and
Oh,
that's
dude,
kind
I'm
of
in
just the
favor
point.
of term limits for everything. I think it's ridiculous that the president is the only one that has a term limit. I think Supreme Court justices, man, do 20 years. You get to make a couple of important decisions for our nation. Get out. Enjoy your retirement. See your grandkids. Ride a bike on the beach. Something.
I do have one. It's kind of shifting more back to the state. As Alabama is mainly northern, and I know it's starting to branch out into the south beside the Black Belt. I think that's what you called it. With I think the FBI building. So a lot of people from out of state are coming into Alabama. What's your idea of trying to retain them to be like stay within Alabama? Is like because I know a lot of people, especially Huntsville, is like top of the nation right now for people coming in and retiring. So overall, what are your plans for that? Like there's more outside people from just all over the country with the FBI, Toyota, Mazda, and whatever else is coming in the future, which will be a lot. What's
Space
your
Force.
plan for that? Oh, the Space Force, yes.
Oh, we're getting the space. I guess Huntsville's getting a Space Force thing. I don't really keep up with Space Force. I thought it was kind of a joke, but
Yeah,
so we are.
we're getting it. Yeah.
Cool.
You beat Boulder,
Um,
right? Somebody in Colorado.
Yeah, it was down to like us, Colorado, and like Texas.
Yes. Richard Shelby's greatest or final greatest contribution.
Do what?
That was Richard Shelby's greatest final contribution. It seems like. See,
Oh.
from what it seemed like, he was the one that pushed it in.
See, he's an alright dude. Like some of his decisions I don't agree with, but sometimes, man, he knocks it out the park. We have to make this state a state worth living in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we already have pretty cool tax laws and everything. Like I said, like I get people from all the country that are members here, and some of them when they members at the club I work at. As just an example, some of them when they buy cars, they register it in Alabama because Alabama has lower taxes on vehicle registration. So pretty cool. We have taken less of our coffers to offer it back to people to have more affordable rides, which that helps everybody. Awesome, right? We have to do that for every aspect of our state. We have to make it pretty cool. We want people who are thinking about starting a family who are in Alabama to be like, cool, they offer pre-K, they got these after-school programs for our kids to interact, the graduation rate, secondary education, a lot of kids doing it, and let's get paid for so I don't have to worry about funding it. It's pretty cool. I want them to look at our justice system and be like, man, Alabama, tough on crime by eliminating the cause of crime instead of saying tough on crime by locking up the person who committed the crime. Because that would also save money on the state. Less people in there, less of a burden. That would be pretty cool. Alabama, focusing on protecting our. You don't know how biodiverse the Mobile River Delta thing is. Like, takes like 60% of our state. Biodiversity in the state of Alabama, we have better biodiversity than anywhere else in the country, like including Hawaii. Like we are super diverse. Protecting that, pretty cool. Giving tons of land and like parks and woods and everything and fields for hunters and fishermen to fish on, and knowing that when they catch or kill something, they can eat it safely and provide for their family without worrying about like weird chemicals in the meat, or like pretty cool. There's all these little things we could do that would add up that would make a person want to stay in the state. And some of them will be like, you have single issue voters. Some of it will be just one thing. Like, man, these people take care of their vets. That's pretty cool. I'll stay here. These people take care of their old people. That's pretty cool. They offer Medicaid. If something happens to me and I lose my job and something like we give a single income and we're bringing in like $13,000 a year, current state, if you're making like a dime over, I think it's 8,000 or 12,000, I forget, but you make a dime over, you don't get Medicaid. their starvation wages, right? We can shrink the pay gap, give more people opportunities. That would be pretty cool. You know, I get homeless. Oh, there's a bunch of places here that will take me in and help get back on my feet and help me give back to the state. That would be cool. Just gotta make our state worth living in.
Yeah, I think one thing Alabama's been generally good about, whether it's for the good or bad, is just the state legislation and like just the political structure in general has really worked quietly. It feels like outside of John Merrill's whatever happened there, and Robert Bentley whatever happened there, and Roy Moore whatever happened. Anyway, in general, like the legislation part of the state, I feel like it works pretty behind the scenes, and I think that might be a draw for people, especially people that are coming from the north. Like there's a lot of people coming from DC with the FBI and the Space Force. How would you want to kind of limit like the amount of exposure? Like, because I know people they're moving here for jobs, but they're also going to be moving here to kind of get away from DC and getting away from like just like the thought of politics every day. So how do you think Alabama could keep working in like the kind of quiet way it works? Because like there's like the Governor Ivy had her rebuild Alabama project, and there wasn't much fanfare about it. At least up here, it kind of just happened, and we were done with it, and it just kind of keeps showing up. So like, how do you want to keep that as a draw for the state?
We can't, man. We can't. That's actually something I'd really like. I think Montgomery should be way more transparent, because it's kind of really corrupt. You hear about all these people who got caught. We ain't catching them all. We ain't catching them all. But if we became more transparent, and I want people to want to get out and vote, like I said at the beginning, man, I want people to love to be like, yes, I'm interacting. You can see the difference I'm making with this vote, and all my friends all voted for the same cause, and we're getting stuff done. And we can't do that if like all this stuff is done behind closed doors. And as much as fun as it would be like, oh yeah, I'm not political. Politics affects a lot of aspects of our lives, like daily, like all the time. Stuff you don't even think about because it's done behind closed doors. But we should be more proud of like political decisions we're making. And we should be more open about them and how we got there. Because if we're seeing a dude do like let's see. Who is that guy that got arrested with the radio stations? He owned the radio station. He violated ethics laws and got arrested for it. Forget his name. Oh no, didn't even happen that long ago. Mine's blanking.
I've never heard of this actually.
Politician. Oh man. Oh man. Funny. We put in a thing for, I forget what bill it was, but he also slipped in a thing about generic medication being get a bunch of kickbacks. And it's like, well, you're not voting. I want to be so open that people can see why politicians are voting the way they are. Because it's important. These people elect you, so you should vote for them. You shouldn't vote for the business that is trying to slip you 50 grand under the table. And if they are like slipping you 50 grand on the table, and you do vote for that, it should be blatantly obvious so these people never vote for you again, or you spend some time behind bars. Because I think it is paramount to treason to vote for corporate or personal interests over the interest of your constituents in your state and your country, if we're talking nationwide. It is ridiculous what slips under, like, and what people never ever hear about. Like,
And yeah, so we're gonna start wrapping this up soon. So one more question here, and you were talking about corruption. And obviously, there's obviously corrupt people, but the fact still remains that if you get elected, you still have to work with people that are going to be possibly corrupt, some that won't be corrupt and still have the same issues. So how do you even like, especially with this hyper polarization we see around the country and the world today, how do you plan on approaching just like treading the line between knowing that you have to work with people that could be corrupt and also trying to get results to fix that issue?
so can't police these people. They're going to be my coworkers, my colleagues from Montgomery. First and foremost, if one of my first purchases is going to be a recorder, because Alabama is a one-party consent state, and I will be recording every conversation I have for my constituents. And if their pertinent information comes up and everything, I'll be like my own little mini CC, releasing important conversations to public, transcripts, everything like that, very blatantly transparent on my behalf. And that'll keep anybody interacting with me up to the car, because that'll prevent them from even trying to. And it's mostly for me to try to prevent from being tempted too. Like, power corrupts. As far as dealing with someone I know who is being shady, when it comes to legislation I want to propose and legislation I want to back, I wish there was a law against this, but there isn't. Is I would try to prevent things getting tacked on the bill that benefits a small minority. Like, if it benefits everybody, cool, tack it on there. If it's you in your pocket, or your business buddy, or your cousin who owns a business down the street, like, why are you trying to add that on to a whole? I would have to try to fight that way. And if it somehow gets attached, I would call out every single person who attached that bill, or who attached that amendment to that bill. So, and it was like, you got to work with them, but that doesn't mean you have to let them walk over the stage to try to get where you're done. Like, you can't. The evil's paid with good intentions, but you cannot let these people get away with what they're doing just to try to get your one thing done.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't get anything done there, because I will be outnumbered, and if they refuse to work with me, my biggest thing is, like, yeah, I would love to reach across the aisle and shake these people's hands. Better Alabama. And I'm going to have to. I know I'm going to have to, because we're not going to win the supermajority. I know we're not going to break up the supermajority. I would love if we did, but the chances are slim. Very, very slim. The Democrats are going to get enough people in Montgomery to break up that supermajority. So I'm going to have to find the most honest legislators on the right and try to work exclusively with them. When I need the other votes, I'm going to get those guys and girls to be the middleman and bridge that gap, because I'm going to have a big D on my back anyway, right? So I'm just going to be like a scarlet letter, but just bright blue. Because I'm going to be a Democrat. And I know, like you said, polarizing. Some of these people aren't going to work with me, like, bar none. They're just going to ignore everything I had to say. So I have to find the people that will, and I have to let them be my voice when talking to the people on the far right. So yeah, first thing, buy a recorder. Second thing, find those good people, because there's good people on both sides. To quote someone who was talking about something totally different.
Yeah. I guess as we're like mainly wrapping everything up, is there anything, I know since technically you're still campaigning, that you just want to say for people to hear just about you or your campaign, or pretty much anything that encompasses yourself and who you are?
There's myself and who I am. I am a blue collar worker. I am not a business owner. I do not come from money. I am more similar to the 95% of Alabamians than a lot of people in Montgomery are. And I want people from that 95%, people who are just hard workers, who are able to step up, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. You relate more to your friends and coworkers than the rich guy who is just doing this for fun in Montgomery. And we need more people who know what it's like on the ground to be in office. So if you are one of those people who are on the ground and you're listening to this, and you're, I don't know, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you're a communist, you're a libertarian, independent, you see more somebody who was born with a silver spoon. And we need common people to run a government that is truly for the people and by the people. We need you. Please run. I can do it. It is not that hard. Of course, I'm getting a lot of hand holding. Shout out to the Baldwin County Democrats. especially Jason Fisher, because he has helped me out immensely on this campaign. But if you are interested in running, or you just want to hear more about it, email me at richard@richardbrackner.com. That's richard@richardbrackner.com, and I will gladly sit down and talk with you about the process and how hard it was to get up and running, because it wasn't that hard. And I want to see more blue-collar faces in Montgomery. We need it. We need people who are in touch with the actual goings-ons in Alabama, that don't live in a bubble surrounded by money and influence and affluence, not influence, affluence. Also, if you've been inspired by my story, please go to richardbrackner.com and donate, because I am in desperate need of, well, not desperate need, but if I am going to pull this thing off and get my message out there to all the constituents, all 45,000 people in my district, I'm going to need more than what a waiter makes in a year. Even if I gave every penny that wasn't going to food and bills to my own campaign, I would not have enough to do what needs to be done. So if I've inspired you to maybe not run, but to get more involved in politics, get involved in my campaign, even if you're not in my district. Like, every little bill will help, and I guarantee you that dollar will be spent in a productive and meaningful way.
And those who are interested, where can they find you on Instagram or Twitter or any of your social medias?
So Instagram, I think I've changed my name to Rich for State. Instagram's a cool one because I'm just taking my public account and turn it into my campaign account. So you can scroll through and you can see like my very first pictures on Instagram. It's part of being transparent. You're gonna see who I used to be. You're gonna see a little bit more about me. Please look through those pictures. You don't have to comment or anything. You don't have to like them. I ask for that, but just get a sense of who I am. And ask questions on there. If you like see a picture thing, ask something about it. I don't care. I will answer eventually. Actually, no, I will answer because my job is closing up soon for the season. Because it's just a seasonal job. Find me on Twitter at Brackner Richard. Find me on Facebook, Richard Brackner. Actually, don't find me on Facebook because I try to keep that late. Facebook is just for friends only, but I do have a campaign page, which you can find on richardbrackner.com. It'd be like a little bit, the F button. Just tap that, it'll go right through my campaign page. In fact, my Twitter and my Instagram are also on there. So yeah, just go to richardbrackner.com, look up in the corner, you'll see the logos, click on those, have a look around, see what I'm about. I tweet rather often. I interact with a lot of people on Twitter. I would love to interact with more people from Alabama on Twitter. I would love to interact with more people from my district, especially. But yeah, have fun with me. Talk to me. I will talk back. And if you want to message Richard at Richard Brackner, I will gladly have. If you don't want to even talk about politics, you want to talk about Alabama football, cool beans. If you want to talk about, I don't know, astrophysics, I won't know a lot about it, but we can talk about it. I just want to talk to people. I want to get to know people in Alabama. I want to get to know problems that they're seeing that I'm not. So I'm not Big Brother. I don't have an all-seeing eye. I'm not Sauron. What I don't see, I need people to come up and tell me, hey, man, turn around, look at this problem, help us. And I will do whatever it is that I can do to help in Montgomery. But, if I don't know about the problem, I can't help. And if you're not in the district, talk to your representatives. Also talk to them. Let them know what you think, what you want, what you need, what you think the state needs. People aren't involved in politics enough, and we should be more.
I know you sent us a Google Doc
Yeah.
your platform. So I definitely think we can try to put that maybe in the description of the YouTube video.
Yeah, we'll put the I'll make sure to put the Instagram and Twitter, all the social media links, the website link in the description, or whatever website, whatever you use to stream this, Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, whatever. And yeah, thank you for having the time. Interesting platform. we'll see how it'll be fun to see a new redistricted map and see how the results go around the state, really,
Oh,
especially in.
I'm excited. Like I said, I don't think we're going to break the supermajority, but I do think there's going to be a few more D's in the state of Alabama, and it excites me. It should excite y'all.
Yeah. Well, good luck. Thank you for coming on, and
Thank you
for
again.
everybody listening.
You.
And everyone listening, thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, everything like that. Share this with your family and friends. We have a website. You guys will know all about it. Thank you and goodbye.